Hi, this is Sparks Johnson, and I recently uploaded an image to my free photography account on pixabay.com. I will put a link to that down at the bottom if you want to see more pictures. But this particular image became very quickly became the most popular image I have uploaded to date. And so I was asked about how it was done, and so that's the purpose of this video, is I wanted to show you how that image was done. So let's get right into it. This was done on a photo walk that my wife and I did, and we got there a little bit later, and you'll notice that I have three images here: an overexposed, a normal exposed, and an underexposed, and that is HDR photography, because the light was a little bit too high, and so it wasn't that magical time right after sunset or that magical time right before sunset. So I chose to use HDR photography. So as a little side note, I used to use seven images, thinking that, hey, I'll do seven at one-stop increments. But I didn't like the quality image because the multiple images seemed to bring in less sharpness. I don't know how else to explain that. So I decided that I was going to try three exposures, and I would recommend anybody who's interested in HDR photography that they would stay at three exposures. This is two overexposed. This is normal exposure. This, by the way, in the upper right, is what you would receive had you just pulled out a camera and taken a picture of it. And then this is the underexposed one, where your highlights are greatly controlled, and the sky now pops out. So that's how that was taken. I used Aurora HDR 2018 by Skylum, which is by far my favorite suite for editing HDR photography. And so what the software does is that it takes those three images and molds it into one image, and that's what the image gave me down here in the lower left, or excuse me, the lower right. You can see now that the sky is there, and I use the basic HDR controls to give me a little bit better blue in the skies. You'll notice that we have now a lot more details in the shadows, and we have a lot more detail in the sky, and it's just a lot better circumstance. What I do after that, now that I've taken those three exposures, Skylum Aurora takes it down, puts it in one photo for me, and then I take that high-res TIFF format and I put it into a Luminar. And you'll notice here are my layers. We use that many layers to make the image that you're not seeing yet, because we're only on the bottom layer. But all the images that come in, all the images that I bring in, they start with this basic filter pack down here. Okay, and that includes the development. Now, if you're used to Lightroom or other photo editing, you will notice that this looks very normal. And you notice that I didn't change a lot. In fact, I changed virtually nothing here, because I thought that the image came in very nicely from the HDR image. And so, you know, the details, we enhance the small details a little bit, give you a little bit more contrast and details in the smaller details, and then we came into the medium, gave that even less, and the large very little, and the masking we left alone, and there was nothing to denoise. And you'll notice that the accent, the AI filter, that is a slider that is specific to Luminar, so Skylum Luminar. And you notice it's a good starting point. It's a good slider, and I only added a very small amount to that. So that was the absolute basic processing as the image came from the HDR into Luminar. So then we started what I would consider to be the manipulation, and I did this in layers so that you could see exactly what we did. One of the first things I always do is I bring in green foliage. Now the green amount here is 15. So let me show you what the green, obviously that's a neon, but that could be, you know, a sci-fi type neon situation. So, and that's basically no foliage enhancement. So I had brought this up to 15. I left it at 15. And then you also notice that we have the golden hour in here, which apparently was not used because I could probably just take that out with no change to the image. And there you go. And so that is the green. So then we go up to golden. Now you notice that it changed a little bit more. Here, let's do this. This is the after what you're seeing here when you were on this layer right here. You've seen all the layers below it. And this was the before. And this is the after now. Now we're not done. So on the golden hour, basically, like I said, when we came in and we were late, there's a magical time of about 15 minutes after sunrise, about 15 minutes before sunset, that you get even more even lighting and you get this nice golden color to it. Well, that's what the golden filter is supposed to do for you. It's supposed to give you that kind of lighting. So I increased it. 38 is a good amount of increase, is a good amount. I do like a good yellow color. Let's go stop right there in the trees, right about here. And you'll notice there might be a little difference. Let's go down to this grass down here. I think you can see it down here. Yes, you can see more right in here in the center lower part. You can see that the yellow does pop out that grass a little bit down there. And I think that you can see that there's just a slight yellow tinge, slight yellow. Yeah, now that it's mentioned, you really notice it in the trees back here. Let's go ahead and take that slider. My number is 38. Let's take that slider up. It doesn't add a tremendous amount, but let's take this out. And let's go up to 38. And so you can see, oh, yeah, we've got to wait for the processing. This is a pretty nice computer, but this is a big honking file. And there's a lot. So let's go back up to our 38. Okay. So let's go up to the pawn. Now, the thing about the pawn, you notice the difference between this golden and this golden is the fact that this has this little box. That little box is actually a mask. What we did here, we added the brush tool. When we add the brush tool, it creates a mask and we can actually draw on the picture what we wanted. So let's go up there. You see the mask, black blocks. So anything that I added, the 45 number of golden hour that I added only showed up in that white part. Now let me show you this. Now the reason for that is I did not like the blue color of the lily pads as it reflected off, as the light reflected off the lily pads. You see the lighting up here in this tree, how nice and translucent it looks. This is translucent lighting and that's reflected lighting. And this, as a matter of fact, the light's coming in this direction right here. So this is back quadrant. The light's not behind me, it's in front of me. So that's what's called back quadrant lighting. And so that's the kind of thing that you pick up. It doesn't bring color with it. It polarizes the light, and so you get a highlight coming off of reflected light. Well, I wanted to put that golden hour back there, and if you look, the golden hour is only coming through right up here in that white area. So I wanted the lily pads to be about the same look as the trees and everything, and I think that was very, very well done there. Okay, let's go on to Orton. This is the global. There's no black box, so this is a global. So this one affected the entire image. You'll notice that we added 17, kind of a very, very, very low amount of Orton. And let's remember the number here. Let's get this off so you can see it. I'm going to maximize this so you can see what it does. And that is what Orton does. You can see the difference. It's kind of a sci-fi fantasy. That, in my opinion, that itself is a nice picture. But then I kind of like it that way. It kind of reminds me what goes on in my mind sometimes. I don't know where, I forgot where we had this, but let's just put it back down to, let's go here. Now, that's all very nice. Remember, we go from there all the way back to there. So I don't want to even try to describe exactly what that does, but that's what it does. So I don't want to describe it. I just move that slider. That's too much, too much, too much. That's too little, too little, too little, right about there. I think we were in the 30s. So that's real close to where we were. Now let's go up the next layer. And by the way, how we add layers is we just hit this button up here and we can add an image to bring in an image, or we can add an adjustment layer, which opens up all of our filters to us. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to click off of that. So let's go up. Now you see here the mask. So this was something that I brushed in. So the orton effect didn't affect the whole picture. It only affected in the areas where I have white. And what I did, why I used the orton, is if we look real close up, we're now up to 300%. So you would expect some pixelation. But if you look closely, there's that little glow in there. That came in from the HDR. And I did not want that to show. So what I did is I did a higher amount, a 40 amount of orton, and you can see that you don't notice the that little white outline that came in from the HDR. And you'll notice that I brought it up in here. I just, you added that kind of fantasy look to various specific parts. You'll notice that it's dark. Well, I did add a little bit down here, but there are areas like this area. I left that area totally done because you need points of sharpness in the picture. All right, now this next filter is other programs that are not Luminar may have this feature. I'm not aware of it, but this is actually a sun picture, and you notice when we click on it, it's global. It doesn't have a mask. It's a global, so it affects everybody, but it actually places a sun. And so what I did, I knew that the light was coming in, so I wanted to accentuate that. Now also you'll notice as we come up to the sun that we're getting the accumulated effect of all of these layers with the filters we've added. Now the sun rays are kind of cool. You kind of play with it. Here, I'll go here. You can see what you do. You can put the sun anywhere you want. There are sun rays coming in. You can control it. You can control the warmth. So there's all of that. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted a hint of the light. I use many times the sunrise just to exaggerate, just to make sure that the viewer's eye understands where the light's from. And normally the sun will be warmer to avoid any exposure problems. So I'm going to take this back probably to where it was, and it's probably, no, it wasn't there. God knows where I had it, probably around there. Okay, now also what's kind of cool is that you can increase the number, you can increase the length, this is really a cool thing and be used a lot of ways. At one point, I was just practicing with it. I put the sun down here in a spot, and it even picked up back quadrant lighting, so it turned as if it was a big glow of reflection from the sun off of the water into the camera. So I decided that no, I didn't want that because that violated the direction light of the picture, so boom, that was the name of that. Okay, so that's the very last thing that I always put up is what I call the vignette. I will use a vignette. There we go. I finally got the processing. It was done. I use the vignette only to bring in the center part of the picture. Now there is a softener here. Let's take this off here. Well, here, let's do this. So we're up here seeing all of it. So that's the before and that's the after. And the vignette has a lot of different ways that you can affect the vignette, and you can also make it post crop. So it's really the deal. Now, so I'm going to turn this off. Now this is what the picture. I then exported this picture, and it actually was the picture I uploaded. So that's basically how I made it. And this should go all the way to the base, all the way to the end. Now some will probably indicate that there's too much green in there, there's too much yellow, there's too much anything, and that's fine. You can argue that all you want to. I will not argue. because I will be the first to tell you that one of the reasons why I like post-processing with this software is because it's what I like. It's not necessarily what you like. It's what the individual who's doing the post-processing likes. And so if he wants to take the Orton effect and just go total sci-fi fantasy, he can. And I'm not going to complain about that because that's the way he wanted to present it. So let the beast out inside of you. That's why I'm going to wax here for a second. I remember the first time, years and years and years ago, when I watched my first black and white picture come up in the development tray, and those toxic chemicals. God, thank God we went to digital. And I saw that, and I saw how I could manipulate that. And I just that's what I love. And so with the current state of technology, I'm sure you can see that having this much of control, being able to go out into a scene that's kind of ugly because the lighting's wrong, and to create something that's beautiful in a sense. You could argue that that's beautiful, but a lot of people seem to think it's beautiful because it's my most popular image I have out so far. And just to do that with a tremendous amount of power and tremendous amount of intuitiveness and just spontaneity. Now I can come back and redo this image, and it could be a different image. Who knows? So that's why I really like that, and that's really why I want people to understand the fun of post-processing in pictures. So that's why I advocate HDR. HDR is not all the time. Sony now has new cameras that have extended the range, and I'm hearing some talk saying HDR may be going sideways. For me, it's not going sideways because I love HDR because I can give you a full tonal value. But anyway, the purpose of this, my purpose here is to just try and show you what you can do, and just try and tell you how much fun it is. I want one last thing before I get off. You see this area right in here. I don't know what kind of flower that is, but it looks ugly there, and I used the golden glow, probably here on the pond. This one. I probably intensified that goldness, and you tell me if that adds or detracts from the picture. That's your decision. I think it adds to the picture, and you know what? This is my picture, and I'm giving it away free, so don't complain. If you don't like it, if you disagree with it, you can disagree all you want. Just go do your own, and we can sit there and talk and have a lot of fun. So this is Sparks Johnson. I'll do as many of these as I can. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit the like button if you want to be notified when I upload new stuff. Then hit that little bell. So thank you for watching this, and I hope it's not too long. And till the next time, bye.